But it was a banner night in front of a select few last night in Oakland. I'm going to call him Dom German. How should I say it?
No. It is not Dom German. Domingo German.
All right.
Domingo like Sunday. Domingo German.
Domingo German with the perfect game last night.
Yes.
Just the 24th in Major League Baseball history. And it is an interesting topic for this reason. I think it's all over the map on how you look at what happened last night. We've heard people say, this guy's just not a good guy. He was suspended by Major League Baseball for violating their domestic abuse policy. Got caught with the sticky stuff earlier this season. I'll tell you what, you get caught with the sticky stuff and then you throw a perfect game after, I actually think it tells you a little bit more about
Thank you. I agree. I 100% agree. It's like, obviously, they're going to be even harder on him at this point. They're probably inspecting his hands 3 times more than everybody else, and he still pulled it off.
99 pitches.
99 pitches.
That's not a lot.
No.
That's, I think, Philip Umber threw 96 in his 10 years ago, so the fewest pitches since that. Not like there have been a lot of perfect games since then. There were 3 in 2012, and there hasn't been one since. But we get to a point in Major League Baseball, Monse, where it takes a lot for us to grab onto. And I think this year it's been a little different. I think Major League Baseball has been great so far this year.
Yes, I agree. I think there's been a shift for many reasons. The time clock and making the games a lot shorter. Obviously, Ronald Acuna Jr. stealing 1,000 bases already. We're not even halfway through the season because the bases are bigger. The shift, all of that, I think, has brought in.
Yeah, Ellie De La Cruz.
The
Reds run recently. I think there's been a lot of good. And I think that last night was good. And I find it, when you're trying to compare what happened last night, you try to put it into perspective. And that's the toughest part that I think that people have with a perfect game, and why I think it is actually more unique and special than maybe anything else that we see in sports. I can't find, it's been 15 hours since the perfect game occurred. I can't find an equivalent in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Of a record of what you would say that hangs with the reverence of a perfect game in Major League Baseball. I thought to myself, well, we value quarterbacks so much. What about a 500-yard passing game? Those don't happen very often. Usually what happens in a 500-yard passing game is the team is losing, and that's why you have to throw for 500 yards. If you actually look at history and you see the 500-yard passing games, there are more losers than there are actual winners. So that's not something you could do. Right. I thought about the NBA.
Yeah.
Triple-double.
Great.
Triple-double. You know, but hey, Russell Westbrook, Oscar Robertson, they averaged a triple-double.
Nikola Jokic.
Yes. What about the quadruple-double? Well, that is so rare that it's only happened 4 times where you would have blocks, rebounds, assists, and then either steals or blocks.
Right.
But the thing that I think that makes this so unique is if you had a quadruple-double, you did it yourself, really.
Right. Exactly. Yes. That's exactly what I was going to tell you.
The perfect game is not that.
Not at all.
And even though Domingo German,
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you very much.
That's good.
Even though Domingo German threw the perfect game last night, I think it's more about the Yankees, and I think history has shown this, that this is the guy gets the label as the perfect game, but there are so many things that have to go right that make it more than the person and make the feat even more rare than we actually think it is.
Totally agree with you. I also sat there and I was like, what is equivalent to a perfect game? Even just in life, what could be equivalent to this? And I was with you. I couldn't think of anything. I thought of golf in your honor, and I was like, is it like a hole-in-one? No, because you could get a hole-in-one, but the game continues. It's just for that moment right there. Nothing that doesn't guarantee you've done anything.
It's also luck. Honestly.
It's also yes, a lot of luck. You are so right. So many people have to do their job in order for a perfect game to be done. And as a Dodgers fan, I go back. Jay Stu, let's go back to Clayton Kershaw's no-hitter, 2014. Almost a perfect game. 7th inning, Hanley Ramirez misthrows the ball to first base. And I think it was Dickerson for the Colorado Rockies gets on first. And there goes the perfect game.
Were you at this game, Jay Stu, by any chance? Were you?
I was not at that game, but isn't that amazing that a perfect game is a team stat
100%.
as much as it is a pitcher stat?
And I think it's not only that, it's the throw. Look at what Josh Donaldson had last night. Hard grounder, hit the third. Probably has all the time in the world, which is actually probably a negative in this scenario. Yeah. I think, and so you're sitting there saying to yourself, "All right, I can't botch this throw." Like, it's, to me, you try to stay in rhythm. You don't want to short arm it. That's just the final out.
Right.
You mentioned Clayton Kershaw in 2014. I think what puts last night into historical perspective is what happened to Armando Galarraga of the Tigers when Jim Joyce blew the call at first base. And that was so magnified because it was for the perfect game. It was a bad call. They call it the 28-out perfect game. But it was such a bad call at the time. Joyce's career has been labeled by it. But that is magnified in the fact that it was going to be the final out of the game and they called him safe in the close play at first.
Oh, yeah. No, I would have lost it. I would have lost my
Galarraga's, I think as time went on, it probably sours you a little bit more.
Of course.
I remember like the next day he went out and handed the lineup card and Jim Joyce got teary. But it also lends to the fact of something else that is the umpires have to be good.
Yes.
If there was a pitch in the second inning of last night's game in Oakland, let's say just missed the outer part of the plate and was ball 4.
Yeah.
That ruins the perfect game. That changes history. Now, at the time, it's the bottom of the second inning, and who cares? Oakland's got a runner on, and maybe Herman's got 2 outs and just has to get the next batter. At that point, you don't think of it. But there are so many things that fall in line, and it's why we've seen that there have been 24 perfect games. 319 no-hitters in Major League Baseball. Those 24 perfect games are included in that. But when I hear people trying to downplay what we had last night, you mentioned this at the start of how baseball is different, bigger bases. It's to allow hitting to happen more often.
Right.
It's not just the home run or bust sort of thing. And I think that's why we got 3 perfect games in 2012. It was a different game than it was a decade ago. But I don't like it when people are trying to poo-poo something that is so rare with so many different factors that could play into it.
Couldn't agree with you more. It's ridiculous. Honestly, we haven't seen this in over 10 years. Not easy to do. A total team effort. I didn't even think about the umpires. And this year, the umpires haven't been the greatest. I literally went, like last week, I got a screenshot from Bo Benson, and it was a screenshot.
Wait, the Bo Benson?
The Bo Benson sent me a screenshot. I don't know what game it was, but it was the calls of balls and strike that he saw on the ESPN app. And he sees it, and there's one that's on the line for a strike, just the same pitch as before, and they called it a ball. And it's like, here we are. I didn't even think about how the umpires could have really affected it. Sure. And also timing, because you're right. If something happens in the second inning, it's not the same as if it happens in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, where the nerves for everybody's got to be nervous at that point. If you're going into the 7th, 8th inning and you are not Domingo German, but you are playing behind him, you must be so nervous because it's also on you. That's scary. I don't know how I would handle that pressure.
Yeah, Anthony Rizzo. And in imperfect games and in situations like this, there's usually a play that stands out where this is where it could have been lost.
Yes.
Anthony Rizzo made a great play at first, I believe in the 5th inning, where that happened. And then now it starts to build. The Yankees, by the way, were up 11-0.
Yes, yeah.
There's you've got the game won.
Right.
There's no reason really, like, I could excuse you to not be locked in that point, because the Yankees over the last couple of weeks, as we mentioned, have not been good at the plate.
No bueno.
And so all of a sudden you get this breakout night. You're like, all right, maybe this is something that we can build on, we can add to. We're up 10-0, but you have to stay focused because of what is at stake, and it happened last night for the Yankees. This is not something to downplay. And Major League, for all the great stuff, you may not like Domingo German and what has gone on in the past. I'm sorry, it's just one of the marks that you just can't touch in Major League Baseball. You're put in history. I thought bowling, like maybe bowling was the one. Perfect game, 300. 300s happen all the time at the local, lanes. The 900 series. But again, that is an individual doing it, not like your team around you.